welcome to Hot News. We are live on Pan-African Television. We are also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. We are live on Facebook also at Pan-African Television. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can share the Facebook live post for other people to get an opportunity to watch tonight's edition of the program. My name is Justice Appiah. You can as well send your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp text line displayed on your screens. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. Tonight on Hot News, we are looking at series of issues or litany of issues, and one of those issues we'll be looking at is, rumors that arrive that the Ashanti Regional Communication Team of the New Patriotic Party are on strike. Why are they on strike? Well, we'll be looking into that. Also today, the NDC held a press conference to respond to the Electoral Commission on, series of issues they have raised, including the fact that they cannot be blamed for the death of some persons, who lost their lives in the just ended elections and all of that. Also, we've been looking at the fight against galamsey by government and all of that. So you can keep your messages coming on 0544. It's displayed on your screens. Try as much as possible to send your messages. We'll get time and read those are for you. I've been joined in a studio by Malik Basintale, who is Savannah Regional Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress. Malik, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Great.
Today I saw a picture of a lady circulating on social media, and I'm told that's your second wife. How true is that?
My second wife.
Celebrating the birthday.
My second wife.
This is a friend of his.
Anyway.
Those were the comments from people.
Say third wives. I'm say four.
Also, you've seen those comments.
Yes, four, fifth wives.
So how true is that? I think you need to clear that.
I think it will be one of the. It will be one of the most interesting things for people out there who do it. And our part of the country, put religion aside. Our forefathers, especially traditional rulers, and I think even in the South, I'm not sure, they had more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wives, and some even had as much as 13. In fact, even if you go into our holy books, you had prophets of God having several wives and what have you. I think there should be a debate with polygamy, monogamy, and all that. So we delve into it and see which is occasion. But
would you support that in the first place?
I am not a polygamous person. I don't have.
Would you ever consider
2, 3 wives and all that? In fact, I'm not married, and so I don't.
How come
I'm not married?
People are saying that the young lady circulating on Facebook celebrating her birthday is a wife.
There was a time they accused. I mean, someone every now and then, they say this is. People are trying to figure out a lot of things. Look, with my national boss, Lawyer Sami Jemfi. There was a time a picture was trending, and people were saying, "Hey, this is Lawyer Sami Jemfi's wife." I said, "The young man is not married." And so, but these bloggers will sometimes just want to dig in and bring things out and what have you. But then, that's by the way.
Malik, in one of her responses, she appreciated the people who were, wishing her and talked about the fact that she was happy to be part of the Basintale family. What does that mean?
I just said that. You see, out there, there've been lots of other instances where people see lots and lots of things. But sometimes you would have to find a way of going around all these things. Look, as young as we are, you would find people trying to fidget with a lot of things. Okay, let's see how this person moves in this angle. Let's see how this person strives in this angle. Let's see how this person does this and what have you. And it happens to even my national boss, like I said. Lawyer Sami Jemfi the last time, they brought series of pictures. They said, oh, this was his wife, this was his second wife, this was his third. I said, hey, but Lawyer Sami Jemfi, I know, is not even married. And
in Sami's case,
why
the
would
lady did not come out even
want to draw
in this case, in your case, the lady appreciated the people who wished her
send me,
and then she talked about the fact that she's happy to be part of the Basintale family.
So send me shots. Let me see.
I'll give you
along the line. I'll try.
I'll give you that. That's not the topic of your question anyway. But that's just a friendly, conversation. You are my friend. You are my brother.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know who the.
So send me shots of some of those things. Let me see. So along the line, I'll be able to know which particular one you're speaking about.
I'll definitely do so.
Yes.
But I hope you are not denying her on this platform.
No, I'm saying that send me shots so I know.
But do you know the lady in question?
Send me shots so I know which particular one you are talking about.
Oh, the ladies are many, so you want to know which particular one.
Which particular one they are speculating as usual.
Okay, so definitely. I'll give you
absolutely, so I confirm along the line.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Yes.
Malik Bassett.
Yes.
Anyway, now let's delve into the discussions properly. I mean, I think that we'll end with the, with a demonstration or strike sort of by the Ashanti Regional Communication team of the New Patriotic Party. But let's start with your press conference today. You have responded to the Electoral Commission. Why respond to the Electoral Commission?
Good evening, Justice. Good evening to everyone out there. I mean, the NDC fraternity, people all around the northern territories of this country, Savannah region, northern, northeast, upper east, and upper west. I think that, never in the history of this country have there been a situation where political parties, more than half of political parties in this country, stand up and consistently fight against the Electoral Commission manning electoral affairs in this country. Never. From 92, in the Fourth Republic, we've held peaceful elections, 96 peaceful, up until Charlotte Osei was appointed. And for the first time in the history of this country, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, decided to, through some through some orchestrations, set aside an Electoral Commission boss together with her deputies. Never in the history of this country has a president done that.
How did President Akufo-Addo do that?
That's why I said through some orchestrations.
What orchestrations?
A petition was brought to him. It was fast-tracked. Things were done lackadaisically. No fair hearing in the matter. And all of a sudden, they call them to put their jobs down, suspend them, fire them, and all of you. And within a couple of minutes, period in time, they appoint a new Electoral Commission officer who comes in with new rules and regulations. We sat on this show. And just as I remember vividly, we discussing electoral affairs, and especially in regards to the new voters register. Before we had the new voters register, we sat here and discussed that how can a president who claimed to have won an election with more than close to 1 million votes, in fact, MPP Futso just peddled that they had won the election with 1 million votes, stand again and accuse the same register that had given him victory of being a fraudulent register, of being an unfair register, and being a register that had been bloated and so was not fit to conduct the next election. We sat on this show and we discussed this extensively, and we proved to them that indeed what you sought to do was first of all against the laws of this country and was a waste of time and a waste of resources. They didn't listen. They went ahead and they did it. You see, I'm giving this premise because for the first time in this country, we are having to end an election in such a fatal, such a bad and disastrous manner like it was conducted in the just ended election. Why do I say so? We went into an election with a new voters register.
Okay.
More than 7,000 polling stations had their BVR systems non-function on the election day. Many had to go manual. We went into an election where returning officers, not just in one constituency, but in several other constituencies, had the guts to deny our polling agents and our people in the strong rooms the opportunity to scrutinize and endorse electoral results. I would state them. The opportunity to scrutinize results before they were declared. In some constituencies, they weren't declared at all. In Zabzugu, for example, the returning officer refused to declare election results in the strong room, went to a particular hideout or whatever, got 2 or 3 people to video MPP persons, and he decided to declare the results in the form he chose to. In Techimasa, for example, while declaration was about taking place, our agents requested to scrutinize the documents they were going to use in declaring that resource, because it did not tally with the pink sheets as submitted by our branches and polling stations. They refused. Elections were not declared. Collation was not done. Yet still at the end of the election, the returning officer, through some dubious means, declared the NPP candidate as a winner. Go to Sefiriaso, go to Takwa Swayem, go to Savilugu. In fact, in Savilugu, people lost their lives. People lost their lives. I saw young people being shot. In fact, our candidate was attacked. Our party office was attacked. And for the first time in an election, we have experienced gross acts of urbanism. And one simply could not comprehend why that would happen in a country that enjoyed free and I mean harmonious democratic fundamentals and doctrines like Ghana. For the first time in this country, we had a system, okay, that in fact that was supposed, that was the brain behind the establishing of a new voters register. That was the facial recognition system. What happened to it? Before the whole process could begin, all machines and gadgets that were bought for that purpose were grounded. None. In fact, you remember incidents where people went to the sites and they said the machine could not detect gray hair. You remember? People went to the sites and they said the machine would capture your face and print a different face altogether. And so that facial recognition system in itself was grounded. Monies, millions of cedis and dollars were spent on purchasing those facial recognition systems.
You petitioned the Supreme Court after the 2020 general election.
Absolutely.
Why didn't you raise these issues in court?
No, but a lot of these issues were raised pending the EC officer entering into the witness box and being scrutinized by our lawyers and our counsels. What happened? She refused. And so I keep saying that you haven't stolen anything. You claim not to have stolen anything, but your hands are closed. They say if you've not stolen, open your hands and we'll see what's in your hands. You say you will not open, but you haven't stolen. That is a clear scenario to what happened in the 2020 Supreme Court hearing. You claim to have conducted a free and fair election. You claim to have done things within the remits of the law. They say, okay, enter into the witness box. Let's scrutinize you. Let's ask you. Explain to the country, the taxpayers that pay you, why you believe that you conducted a free and fair election. Explain to us why you think that you did not breach our laws. Because I said Nkete was in the witness box. People in our strong room, Mr. Rojo Meta, was in the witness box. Mr. Ukwesa White was in the witness box. Our people subjected themselves to scrutiny because we knew we had a case and we knew we were presenting a formidable case. We had other school of thoughts that, okay, if you go to court, you are supposed to show us your figures. And that brought about the where are your figures, I mean, the hashtag and what have you. For Christ's sake, our filing of the case was not to present our own figures. In fact, within the laws of this country, okay, it lies voluntarily, okay, at the doors of political parties to collate their own election results. But for scrutiny and vigilance sake, and but for personal, research and experiments and further, interrogations into whatever happened, and to have data on your own sake, no political party is mandated to collate its own resource. That is why we pay the EC boss. That is why we pay the Electoral Commission office. That is why they are giving huge salaries. And that is why they are giving whatever money is needed to them to establish a system that will be able to provide us with genuine election results. But I keep saying that, look, let me land on this before you ask. I keep saying that, Justice, whether a political party has agents within the strong room, inside the strong room, or whatever, it is the sole responsibility of the electoral commissioner and the electoral commissioners, or the electoral commissioners, to provide us with authentic, genuine, free and fair, transparent results. So questions that came from, I remember the council to the MPP and the EC were asking questions as though, why did our agent leave the strong room and whatever. That question in itself shows that the electoral commissioners were compromised. Because you should not even ask why people should leave the strong room. If people don't have representatives there, it doesn't mean you shouldn't declare or provide us with very transparent and fair resource. It lies within your onus to provide us with that resource. And so I keep saying that, look, what we presented at the Supreme Court was exactly what we filed. We went by it. And if you remember, our counsel, a very legendary lawyer, counsel, one that many people see as a mentor and aspire to be like. In fact, I aspire to be like him. The lawyer Chachuchikata told them and educated them. And I think that, look, he schooled them, to the extent that they had no other option than to advise the electoral commissioner not to go into the witness box. Because if she dared stepped into that witness box, she was going to be scrutinized, she was going to be exposed, and the Ghanaian people, everybody, within and without the country, were going to come to an irresistible conclusion that, indeed, the woman was compromised and conducted a bogus election. For the
Electoral Commission says all political parties have agreed that the 2020 elections was free and fair, and in fact transparent.
Even the
why is the NDC, having a divergent view of what other political parties are saying?
You see, it's not necessarily about the NDC. It's about the conduct of the Electoral Commission. This is a commission that declared more than 6 different results. More than 6 different results. Look, for example, look at the constituency level. A result like 13 million, okay, 118,640 was declared at a particular event. Before that results could get to the national level, it was 30,119,460. They had 10 figures. 10 figures. And these were deliberate exploitations. Look, in the northern region, for example, I remember a piece was written about it. Figures that had 660 were deliberately made 606. And so you see, you won't blame someone for such an oversight.
But I'm saying that to the Electoral Commission, the 2020 election was the best.
Yes, and so I'm telling I'm giving you
a divergent opinion. Isn't it because you've lost the elections? That's how come you would want to dent the image of the Electoral Commission?
I am saying that even the Electoral Commission did not believe in its own results, and that is how come they kept on changing their results. If they believed in the results they declared, they wouldn't have changed it. And they changed it consistently and on a daily basis. In fact, there was a point in time during the election where it was being changed on an hourly basis. They upload, delete. Upload another one, delete. Upload another one and delete. Till today, the EC has been asked to gazette its entire results. We want the pink sheets gazetted. So we go through constituency, branch by branch, polling station by polling station, constituency results, pink sheets. They haven't been able to do that. Our party has done it. We have asked them to gazette theirs, so we cross-check whatever has been kept out there.
If the NDC thinks that the EC had announced, wrong results and all of that, after your coalition, what did you get? As against what the EC had announced?
No party, after our coalition, had 50.1.
But what exactly did the NDC get?
I'm saying that no party
the EC is,
had 50.
The EC is today saying that 2020 election is the best ever. The NDC is actually denying that and saying that, look, EC should stop peddling falsehood by saying that the 2020 election was the best. Now, the only thing that can settle this is what the NDC had per your coalition as against what the EC put out there. You went to court. The court dismissed the issue and talked about the fact that, look, the current president or the results announced by the Electoral Commission was the right one. Why are you still fighting the decision by the court? Why are you still fighting, the results as declared by the Electoral Commission? When you have not put out there an alternative result from your coalition center that suggests that what the Electoral Commission actually announced isn't the right one.
An example is the Tichima South results. And let me use this as a vivid example. The Tichima South results. We have our pink sheets up to date. Okay? Signed by our polling agents and the MPP's polling agents and whatever party that were involved in that election. Okay, at the end of that collation, if you remember, a press conference was held at Parliament House.
Okay.
Where our electoral officer there went document by document, went through all our pink sheets until the last pink sheet. You remember? And declared the results. And told us the percentage we had in Techima South. What happened? Tell me. Did it change anything?
Okay.
Did it change anything? The matter is in court now. You understand? And so I'm only saying this because whatever results I sit here to declare, okay, would not change anything in the results because they have refused to even listen. At IPAC, and that is what this whole press conference today was all about. At IPAC, where we are supposed to meet as political parties and take decisions, it's been thrown to the dogs by the Electoral Commission led by
you
the
have
president.
had issues with the 2020 election.
Yes.
You went to court.
Absolutely.
Now, the Electoral Commission, you know, called for a forum.
Okay.
And the National Democratic Congress was invited. Isn't it the place or the right place where you channel your grievances and all of that? Why did you deny or why did you refuse going for the forum that you were invited for by the Electoral Commission?
Even before the election, if you remember, there was a temporary boycott of IPAC. Before the elections, our people consistently told them that they would only participate in future IPAC meetings if they come to discuss matters and take decisions from their discussions at that meeting. You know what happens of late? You go to IPAC, Jen Mensah comes with a document, reads it to you people. When she's done, they go back a minute that all political parties were present. And so this is the decision we've taken. And that is what the NDC is against. Because we think that, yes, the lives of the people of this country matters to us. Whatever decision that will cause loss of life, okay, would not be a decision the NDC will partake in. And that is why consistently we have registered that displeasure at their corridor. And we've told them that, look, any decision you want to arrive at should be by consensus. All political parties must have an influence. Yesterday, indefatigable General Secretary, Mr. Johnson Asiedu, stated in clear terms that as it stands now, there are two major political parties in this country. From 2016, there wasn't any other party in Parliament. 2020, aside the independent candidate, there hasn't been any third party. Okay? Yet still, the EC finds it prudent going to take decisions with the NPP together with other smaller parties. Okay? And doing away with the NDC. Taking decisions, concrete decisions, in the absence of the NDC. Meanwhile, we are major stakeholders so far as electoral affairs in this country are concerned, because we have a stake, and that is why Mr. Johnson Asiedu just said that we have learned certain lessons. You see, all these questions you are asking are because indeed we challenged the matter in court, and because indeed we thought that the courts were an appropriate grounds for disputes of this sort to be settled. But we have learned our lessons. And you see, I want to confidently and forcefully...
Are you in other words saying that in subsequent elections, the NDC would not resort to, the court?
No, I would rather say that in subsequent elections, we will see polling stations as declarative points and coalition centers
you and I know
as
that,
appeals points.
You and I know that elections are not declared at the polling stations.
And I'm saying that...
Why must the NDC change the law or have their own law by declaring results at the polling station?
Whatever branch election, whatever polling station results you get there is declared at the polling station level.
Okay.
The coalition centers would no longer be declaration centers to the NDC. They will be appeal centers. That's going to be the final destination. And whatever results we are challenging will be challenged there. Because you see, we have come to the understanding that, look, there are numerous miscarriages of law. In fact, the entirety of whatever happened in the aftermath of the election looks like an orchestration, looks like an organized, a planned and laid out setting that was simply executed in style. Because in the aftermath of the election, the usual proceedings that were done, anybody and any Ghanaian who watched the 2016 election, the 2012 petition, and watched this particular petition hearing, would come to an irresistible conclusion that indeed all is not well with our democratic credentials. will come to a conclusion that these were two different electoral matters. From the start of the hearing, if you monitor the conduct of the judges, and from the start of the hearing, if you monitor the conduct of the MPP, you would come to a conclusion that they had already planned, they were laid down, things. There was a laid down setting to how this must be executed. If not for that, in 2012, Appiah went into the box. He defended the elections he conducted. In 2020, Jane Mensah Adukwe refused to go into the box. And she told the judges to go ahead with their ruling. And they ruled in her favor. And so clearly, I think that anybody who is abreast with these legal systems and whatever will tell you that anyone who resists going into the box and asks the judges to proceed with judgment should be somebody who has been briefed to some extent.
The Electoral Commission has proposed some reforms, right?
Absolutely, we've heard
exactly. Why have you shut down or punched holes in some of those reforms?
They are entirely preposterous.
Why are they preposterous?
One, the Electoral Commission in the 2020 election said they were going to declare results within 24 hours. What happened to it? After 7, in fact, we counted hours to the extent that we were counting days. And they hadn't declared the results. Is there not a measure to fix first? Is that not something they should be looking out for? Is that not something they should have apologized to the Ghanaian people for? Today you come and tell us, from 92 till date, elections have been starting at 7 and closing at 5. Yet still, even at 5 when election closes, you find people in the queues for longer hours. Then you come and you want to reduce it to 3. You see, someone told me, that was on a lighter note, that probably Jane Mensah wants to finish the election by 3, and so that when President Mahama becomes the president, by 8 p.m. she will go with British Airways out of the country. But you see, that's on a lighter note. But when you look at her suggestions and her conduct to the way she wants to handle the 2024 elections, it looks like she's under pressure, and she's timid and she's afraid. She's only acting as a coward because she cannot stand the damages she caused in 2020, and she knows that the NDC will win power in 2024. And when John Mahama becomes president, she knows that the foot soldiers, the soul and spirit of the NDC, indeed, will set things right again.
As part of
the
electoral,
corridors.
As part of the reforms, the EC did not only talk about, ending the elections at 3. They talked about an all-year-round exhibition exercise through smartphones and other mobile devices by texting to a short code. That's number 1. They also talked about, some other few things. They want collation done only at the constituency level and transmitted to the regional and national level. You have raised issues with collations and all of that. Isn't this a fine opportunity to agree with the Electoral Commission that things should be done in a certain way to prevent rigging and these needless accusations after elections?
You see, first of all, an all-year-round exhibition, 100%, perfect. Because at every given time, we would want to know what's happening. Okay? Because once there's going to be an all-year-round, walk-in registration process, which did not start today, it's something that had been planned from back in the days till now, there will definitely be an all-year-round exhibition. But you see, there's a problem.
What's the problem?
That should not take away the periodic exhibitions that are being held at the various vantage points. 1, these are the reasons. The exhibitions are not just conducted for you and I to go in there and check and see whether our names and pictures are properly captured in the register. The exhibition is to cater for the removal of dead bodies. People, remind you, as it stands now, I don't know the number, but from due to mortality ratio, I can arrive at a conclusion that at least more than 10,000 people who registered would not be living again. You understand? And so the exhibition exercises are to cater for the removal of said dead bodies. Again, the exhibition exercises are to cater for challenges. And so if I think that in my community there's someone who probably has registered and is not a Ghanaian, I wait for the exhibition exercise in my community. If the person comes, I bring evidences, and it's from the community. that you can get such evidence, because 2 or 3 people will have to come and stand and prove that indeed we don't know this person doesn't belong here. And you, that person, will also have to find people in the community to come and defend you. And so if there's no periodic exhibition exercise, how do we arrive at that? So if you want us to text codes, I should text Justice Appiah. I just saw him walk into your office. He's not a Ghanaian, so remove his name. How can that be done? That's preposterous. Again,
why is it that it is only the National Democratic Congress that sees everything wrong with reforms that the Electoral Commission would want to?
First of all, it's not only the National Democratic Congress.
How many other parties have
other parties are coming on board gradually. You would find them in the coming days. But then, the NDC is majorly concerned because we are a major stakeholder. As it stands now in Parliament, there's a split.
People are on the view that
137, 137.
NDC do not like the Electoral Commission. Hence, their reason for, objecting to almost everything that the Electoral Commission will bring.
Tell me one Ghanaian who liked the re-registration and the new voters register and the tormentation we have to go through in registering. Tell me one Ghanaian. Tell me one Ghanaian who likes the fact that even after registering, today, the new voters registration card cannot be used for any transaction because it hasn't been captured into our database. Tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with that. And so clearly there's a problem. Tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with the fact that a returning officer in Techima South, an officer of the Electoral Commission, refused to do his work well, and so people were shot and killed there. Tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with the fact that someone was killed in Savulgu because an EC officer failed to conduct his work properly. Tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with the fact that the Electoral Commission officers appointed by Jen Mensah, some could not even write common rights and tally figures on the Electoral Commission's pin sheets. Tell me one Ghanaian. And so indeed, everybody is angry with the conduct of the Jen Mensah-led Electoral Commission. In fact, tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with the fact that an appointed Electoral Commissioner, Bosman, who was a then patron of TESCOM, that's the NPP youth wing fraternity on our
those are allegations.
No, I'm
very well
I'm fully aware of this. I know. I was at the University of Ghana, and I know that Bosman was a TESCOM patron. Tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with the fact that he, as an Electoral Commissioner, referee to any elections in this country, would boldly say that the NDC is a problem to the nation. The NDC as a party is a problem. How do I tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with that conduct? So entirely, it's not about the NDC. It's about the conduct of the Electoral Commissioner vis-a-vis the Ghanaian, what the Ghanaian people have witnessed in the past. So far as electoral affairs are concerned, people have lived, and people have even lived in the revolution. People have lived even, before Nkrumah and after Nkrumah, and they have participated in elections. And these same people have told us that it has never been, and there's never been an election where casualties have been registered like it was done under this election. In fact, Jen Mensah tested their grounds in the Ayowaso West Wagon election. Justice, it was before my very own eyes that people were shot and their bones broken into pieces, and their bones were dripping like blood in front of me. It was before my very own eyes that bullets penetrated the houses and stores of people just because an EC boss decided to take the laws into their own hands and in alliance with the government of the day, use tax to attack our people. Tell me one Ghanaian who is happy with the fact that during the registration exercise, some of us arrested a man who had taken a machine from Salaga North and was registering minors in the Tamale South constituency. An MPP communicator who was recruited into the Electoral Commission office. Tell me, who is happy with that? And so clearly, look, on the day of the election, as at 11 a.m., 12 p.m., registration machines were refusing to boot. In fact, on the day of the elections, as at 12 p.m., voting equipments, Electoral Commission equipment that were brought were refusing to start. Some had not even arrived at their destinations. And so at some of those places, voting started after 12. And you come and tell us we should close voting at 3. So that by 8, you go with the last flight. Because the British Airways last flight flies around 8. You leave the country.
Now, for the sake of our viewers, you have already mentioned the agreement between the Electoral Commission and some political parties on the IPAC to close polls at 3.
Absolutely.
I would want to read the reason behind that for our viewers, then I ask you a question. And
right.
It says, the Electoral Commission and political parties within the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, have agreed on a decision to close polls for the general elections at 3 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. The two bodies, following a 2-day workshop to assess the 2020 general election, also agreed to institute an all-year round voter registration system where citizens who turned 18 or persons who have not previously registered can visit an EC district office with their Ghana card or passport in order to register as voters. Providing updates via its official page on Twitter, the Electoral Commission on May 20 pointed it will be introducing an all-year-round voter registration exercise through the use of technology, SMS, short code, as well as periodic physical verification at exhibition centers. Quote, agreement made at the Election 2020 IPAC Assessment 2-day workshop. At the end of the interactive workshop for members of the IPAC to access the processes leading to the 2020 general elections and the election, the political parties and the EC agreed on the following: closing the polls at 3 p.m. rather than 5 p.m. Institute all-year-round voter registration system where citizens who turn 18 or persons who have not previously registered may visit any EC district office with their Ghana card or passport and register as voters. Introducing all-year-round voter registration exercise through the use of technology, SMS short code, as well as the periodic physical verification at exhibition centers. The tweets read, the EC added it will further build efficiency into the collation processes by focusing on data entry only at Constituency Collation Center, CCC, which will serve as the entry point. It explained the captured data at the CCC will be made available to all stakeholders at the regional and national levels, from which regional and national reports will be generated. Isn't this transparent enough? Are these reforms not reforms that will bring an end to election disputes and, unnecessary accusations and all of that the Electoral Commission has rigged for a particular, candidate and all of that?
You see, we told the Gen Mensa today, okay, that nothing needed to be fixed, and the fixing of anything would not make sense except Gen Mensa fixes herself.
Oh, how?
Together with her commissioners. This is the reason. You told us we were bringing a facial recognition machine and that our thumbs were not enough, and so there was going to be a facial recognition machine to capture to have a facial print or whatever. It never materialized. You told us we were going to declare a results within 24 hours. It never materialized. And you come and tell us you're going to plant cameras and what have you at polling stations. How is that going to be possible? How is that going to materialize? And that is why we are saying that, look, if you can't add anything to our electoral fortunes, don't take away in it. And don't institute rules and measures that will affect. We still remain a political party to have won elections first in our Fourth Republic. And so, if for anything at all, we have better experience in how elections are conducted in this country. Why? We lived to partake in elections that were conducted by EC officers declaring for other parties. Afarijan declared for MPP. NDC won. We didn't sack him. In fact, he declared for MPP twice. You understand? We won in 2008. We didn't sack him. Afarijan retired. We appointed Charlotte Osei. She didn't declare for us. We didn't bother. We moved ahead. Then this president comes and decides to take her out and appoint his own minister for electoral affairs. And she comes into the office and decides to take things.
Who's the minister for electoral affairs?
When under the MPP, Jane Aduko Mensa.
She's the electoral commissioner.
Yeah, but also classified in terms of the MPP structure as a minister for electoral affairs.
Since when?
That's in the MPP structure. And that is why I'm telling you, acting the MPP
because
person.
someone knows her as Minister for Electoral Affairs.
You are not an MPP person. You are not an NDC person. The MPP, we are politicians.
Since when did the MPPs start to describe her?
I said you can ask any MPP person. She's in their structure. She's a Minister for Electoral Affairs. And that is how come they're able to use her to orchestrate some of these things. And at the end of the day, she comes out to say nothing went on wrong in the election. As if she didn't hear anything. You remember, the idea was so West Wagon election. Before the election would come to an end, she was found saying ranting and saying that nothing had gone wrong. Everything was free and fair. Until Kodio came out to defeat those things and gave measures in place that were supposed to be used to guard future and by elections in this country. And so you see, I have said that there's a clear plan laid out, properly spelled out, and gradually implemented in this country. But you see, we have learned our lessons as a party. The NDC will no longer sit aloof and allow for such things to repeat itself. Elections would be declared at the polling stations. Electoral disputes will be settled at the collation centers. We will bring them to finality there. And so you either declare a free and fair election, or the NDC will force you to operate within the remits of the law. And that is constitutional.
Declaring results at the polling stations.
Absolutely.
Is it part of our law?
Yeah, I'm saying that the polling station results should be declared there, taken to the constituency collation centers, and at that juncture, free and fair elections, fair results must be declared. If not, we will come against you.
Commission, as part of their
and
reforms,
we'll let you declare it.
The Electoral Commission, as part of their reforms, is saying that the Commission would also want collation to be done only at the constituency level and transmitted to the regional and national level. So if you're saying that the results are going to be declared at the polling stations, at what point will collation be done?
We object to this outrightly.
Because the National Democratic Congress feel that this will create an opportunity
to rig
for rigging.
Absolutely.
And all of that. How is that possible?
No, it is possible because even in instances where elections were collated, I mean, there was consensus at the polling station levels before transmitting them to the constituency levels. We had issues. And that is how come in this election, for example, the Techima South results, okay, had it not been that, we had our pink sheets. You know what the MPP told the judge in court? They said they were not going to provide any pink sheets. They were not going to provide because they don't have any, they don't have legal and authentic pink sheets to back their claims of winning the election. And so they told the judge they were not going to provide anything until the judge summoned them to forcefully provide it. And you know why we are confident in that case? Because we have properly collated polling station results.
The NDC talks about rigging.
Yes.
Who rigs?
Oh, in the 20.
And for who?
In the 20, I know of the 2020 elections.
Okay.
Jane Mensah rigged for the NPP.
But this same Electoral Commission talked about the fact that no Electoral Commission or no Electoral Commissioner can rig in an election for a certain candidate. And you are also leveling a very serious allegation against the Electoral Commission that she has rigged for the New Patriotic Party. How did that happen?
In the northern regions results, okay? Results that were transmitted from northern region to Accra were different in words and different in figures. And the accounting principle, when such discrepancies arise, the one as written in words is used. You understand? Now, on that same pink sheet and declaration sheet,
administrative errors.
I'm coming. I'll explain. But it's an error, whether administrative or protocol or operational, it's an error. But then
they are pardonable.
I beg your pardon. On that same declaration sheet, our agent in the strong room refused to sign because he requested that the writing be done. Yet still they went ahead to declare it. Is that not rigging by the EC boss? A lot of our pink sheets that we had and that the EC uploaded, our agent refused to sign because they requested the right things be done before they went ahead to sign, and they refused. Yet still they declared their results. In fact, in the National Strong Room, I'm just giving instances of how the EC rigs elections. In the National Strong Room, you remember that during the election petition, Rojo Metal, together with Dr. Kwesa White, said they had agreed to go to our flag bearer's house to inform him of certain things. You remember? Before they got back, she had declared the results without their signatures. How did that happen? Before they got back to the strong room.
People have also asked critical questions.
Yes.
That why would two matured men decide that we are all leaving at the same time to go and deliver a message? One person could have gone and delivered the message.
You see,
the other would sit back to watch how things actually pan out.
I made a point already that with or without our agents, it's within the honors of the Electoral Commission to declare a free and fair election, whether the NDC participates or whether the NDC absents. Because the results you are declaring, it's not just for the NDC or the MPP. It's for the citizenry, the Republic of Ghana. Whether people voted or did not vote, they would have to be bound to that decision. And so at the end of the day, you must be accountable to the Ghanaian people. And so your services are not to operate whilst being under check from any of the parties. Even without check, you are supposed to provide the people of this country with very credible results. That is how come our democracy has grown from grace to grace to grace until Jane Mensah has took it back to grass. And that is where we are today. We are in grass after growing from grace to grace. Jane Mensah has taken us back to grass. And the NDC is trying to make amends and help us have a fair election in the next
Now it looks as if
election.
the NDC is in disagreement with. It looks as if the NDC is in disagreement with almost everything that the Electoral Commission would want to do, all their reforms and all of that.
No, we are not disagreeing
exactly. Of course, I mean they have talked about some reforms. No, you have shut down all their reforms.
No, not all.
And you called it a sham. That is what in your press conference today. That is how you have described the reforms that the Electoral Commission would want to really, bring. Now, what exactly do you expect from the Electoral Commission? What do you want the Electoral Commission to do as, one of the major stakeholders in elections in this country?
You see, for example, in the participation of IPAC, IPAC as a body, number one, has not been given any legal backing. And that is how come the Electoral Commissioner, Jane Mensah, feels that IPAC, it's a meeting between Jane Mensah, and probably her grandchildren, where she will just come and dictate to you. If IPAC is given a legal backing, okay, with stated functions and how IPAC should be conducted, I don't think we'll have future repercussions with the conduct of IPAC meetings. And so that's one of the proposals we've made. We've also made a proposal, it is here, that we have an equitable voting formula anytime deliberations are being taken at IPAC meetings. And so we've given several recommendations. But you see, consistently, because Jane Mensah, for the first time in the history of this country, an Electoral Commission has decided to surround herself with soldiers and bulldozers. It looks as if when you speak, she doesn't even hear. For the first time, Jane Mensah went to court throughout with a terrain of soldiers. Afari John walked freely because he was a free man. And so these are some of the things. Again, the reason why I said we don't disagree entirely with all their proposals is that, for example, the continuous all-year exhibition exercise. We don't object to it. We support it. And we are saying that whilst doing that, you must still conduct the periodic exhibition exercise. Simple. Again, the all-year walk-in registration. We don't object to it. We say it is a brilliant idea. It wasn't even started under you. It is something that past electoral commissioners started. And so if you want to implement it, fine. But then, you cannot do away with the limited registration exercises. It must still be conducted. Why? Because there are people who cannot travel from their villages to the district level to register. There are people who turn 18 and are waiting for the EC to come to their polling stations before they register. No matter what you do, they won't go. Look, if you go to the Central Gunja, for example, district, the district office is in BP. There are villages like the Bato area.
Malik, isn't there more reason why the NDC participates in IPAC meetings to channel or churn out these grievances to the Electoral Commission to see how best the stakeholders or a major stakeholder like the NDC and the Electoral Commission would come into agreement with other political parties to see how best some of these proposals from you will be attended to?
My brother, we have participated in series of IPAC meetings where we made cogent submissions. Jane Mensah refused to listen. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Okay. In the electoral, before the new voters register was brought into force, we participated. And we told them that that register was not bloated. If it needed cleaning, simply clean it. There are periodic cleanings as stipulated in the Constitution. That the register should just be upgraded. You can do that. We did it in 2011. From black, in fact, before, from black and white, we came to color, we came to biometric, and what have you. If you want to add any system to it, you can simply do it without having a new card or a new system in place. What happened? They refused. They said it was bloated. They said the numbers on it was not accurate. And we had lesser numbers than what was registered. They kept it aside, right? Justice, if you remember, after registration, the old voters register had about 60 million people. After registration, we had about 17 million people. It had gone up. And so what cleaning did you do? But by then, they had wasted more than 80 million Ghana cedis just in doing that register. The EC had wasted that in doing that register. That is entirely not different. I have two of my registration cards here. I can show them to you. Then you tell me one difference. It's just the coat of arms. And so we thought that yes, if you want to do your chop or whatever, you can find other ways of doing it. But as there was COVID, you subjected the people of this country to harsh conditions. People had to go and queue and long lines and long queues and what have you under COVID. And you did not care. In the Eastern region, for example, in the president's own backyard, because they didn't care, he didn't care about his people. People were being infected with COVID in his backyard, yet he said we should go ahead with the registration. And so this came with a lot of casualties. I think that everybody saw it. There were casualties, there were misunderstandings here and there, inaccuracies. The Electoral Commission itself did not declare an accurate results.
The Electoral Commission says it cannot be blamed for the killings of people in the 2020 elections. I would want to know the NDC's, reaction to that.
First of all, if there are no misunderstandings and during electoral processes, if there are not electoral shortcomings or attempts to rig at polling stations, there's usually no chaos. I have witnessed elections where we voted smoothly, results were declared smoothly, the winning party jubilated, and the losing party went home in peace. Okay? But once EC officials begin acting, fidgetry and acting in a very treacherous manner, then political parties tend to take extreme positions. That is what sparks chaos. For example, the Techuma South issue was entirely sparked by the EC returning officer. Entirely. Had it not been his conduct, an evil agenda, those people wouldn't have lost their lives because there would have been free and fair collation and declaration.
All right.
Zabzugu, for example, it was the same instance. And so the EC cannot even, they can't run away and hide their shame from such acts. Again, to conclude on this point,
okay,
in the 2020 election, the Electoral Commission partnered with the Interior Ministry to provide security, among which the Electoral Commission requested, because they knew their evil intention, to deploy soldiers, police officers, national security personnel to polling stations. It has never happened. Never. So one of the things we are telling them, if you know you don't have any evil plans, leave the deployment of security personnel to the police service. They have enough men. There are fire service there. There are immigration officers and what have you. They have their men. And do away with that so-called national security blah, 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 and all those boys you've recruited in the double A's gang. Because the next election, if we find such people there, I think that will help the laws of this land work and work properly.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Malik, for your submission. Viewers, you're still watching Hot News right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. If you're watching us on Facebook, please share. I'll plead with you to share the Facebook Live post for other people to also get an opportunity to watch tonight's edition of the program. If you're watching us on Facebook, please share tonight's edition of the program for other people to also watch. You can also keep your messages coming in on our WhatsApp text line displayed on the screen. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. Let me see if I can get you the WhatsApp line here. The WhatsApp text line is 0544 235984. 0544 235984. 0544 235984. That's the WhatsApp text line. Send your messages and we'll make a time to read all those messages out for you. Now let me come to you once again, Malik. Now the issue of Galamsey, fight against Galamsey, you know, burning of excavators, the champagnes and all of that. What's your take? Are we seeing any headway with respect to government's fight against Galamsey?
You see, I think this whole topic needs a clear, commonsensical analysis in tackling this matter. First of all, till date, no one has taken responsibility for the action of the soldiers. No one has taken responsibility that, look, I authorized it. I've listened to the lands minister. He hasn't said anything in regards to that. I think the only person who's made the only person who's made comments in regards to this is the defense minister. Justice, what is wrong is wrong.
Okay.
And you can never use an illegality to resolve what is wrong. For example, if you steal something from me and I kill you, you are wrong by stealing from me. I'm wrong by committing murder, right? The burning of excavators in our laws is wrong. It's illegal. Go to our Mines and Minerals Act 206, as amended in 2015.
What did the Act say?
Section 99. Penalties and fines also. It clearly gives a roadmap to how excavator seeds must be handled, taken to the police, kept under the custody of authorities, finally taking the people to court, the government to auction into state institutions. Look, we need excavators in the northern parts of this country to dredge dams for us. You know how much it costs to rent an excavator?
How much?
A day. Some excavators go for 6,000, 8,000 on a daily basis. And the government simply goes and bans these excavators to stop what? Look, in Tamale, for example, let me say this example.
Serve as a deterrent for other people who want to engage in same.
The fact that your appointees, yourself, everybody is corrupt under your government. And the last time you seized excavators, you sold them like granite. There's no warrant that you should engage in an illegal activity of burning down excavators. If you don't trust your people and you think that you cannot leave meat with your dog, it doesn't mean that the meat that should be gotten should just be burnt outright. There are proper ways of handling issues like this.
Okay.
And now I've stated, look, the last time in Kumbungu, people were engaging in sign winning, okay? And they got their tipper trucks. More than 16 tipper trucks were burned down. Go to Kumbungu today. People are still engaging in sign winning. So you can't continue doing the same thing and expect different results. There are other measures. Look, the first approach, I remember 2011, Prof. Mills realized that people were interested in mining. So he said there's a thin line between mining and Galamsey. A license, a regulation. So he withdrew everyone, trained them, and they were forced and trained, given license.
But Malik, the NDC cannot absolve itself from what is happening today because under your watch, there was Galamsey. Under your watch, we were even told at a point that government gave up the fight against Galamsey. under your watch, some machines of some of these people were actually burnt also. So why would the NDC think that they are saints when it comes to the fight against Galamsey?
First of all, even under the watch of Liman, there was Galamsey. And so Galamsey, it's something that has, it's not new to us. It's something that has been happening in this country. Secondly, did you ever hear that under the watch of the NDC, excavators were seized and sold like granates? Did you ever hear that excavators, more than 500 excavators were seized and sold to party people like granates? Under our watch, did you ever hear people, big wigs in our party, saying that party here sika, and that's why they are engaging in Galamsey? Did you ever hear under our watch where an interministerial committee was set up and the secretary to that committee was the one in charge of the bundles and using saliva to count the money? Did you ever hear under our watch that the leader of the committee, Dr. Frimpong Boateng, who was tasked to go and fight Galamsey, had his own son, Jojo Frimpong, engaging in pure Galamsey? Did you ever hear? And so these are things that are new to us, that a government comes and decides to share things among themselves. However, I continuously say this, that President Akufo-Addo should put his presidency down by now. Because this is a man who said the fight against Galamsey was tied to his presidency and his presidency will be on the line and what have you. Today, we are beginning an entirely new process. It means that 4 years of Nanado meant that they came, failed in the fight against Galamsey, went into the forest reserves and got money for themselves because party Hiasika, and destroyed our water bodies and our forest reserves. Did you ever hear, under our watch, that the government of the day had leveraged our bauxite sites to the Chinese? It's only Baumia who did that. Went to our forest reserves, took our bauxite to the international communities, and took 3 billion. Did you ever hear NDC doing that? Because we cared about our lands and we cared about our water bodies. Our
time is up, but now briefly before I let you go, Malik, ahead of the 2020 elections,
okay, right,
we had certain promises made,
right,
by former President John Dramani Mahama,
right,
who was the flag bearer for your party in the 2020 elections.
Right.
And some of the things he said about this whole Galamsey issue was about the fact that, one, you were going to regularize, the operations or the activities of the Galamsey. Yes, that's number one.
Regularized.
Number two, he made a categorical statement that, look, foreigners who came to this country to do Galamsey were arrested but not prosecuted. Yet some Ghanaian, citizens who were arrested were prosecuted and are in jail. And that if he was given the nod, he was going to make sure that those persons were freed and all of that. The question is, how do we fight Galamsey with this attitude when people have perpetrated a crime against the state and they are supposed to burn the brand of the crime they have committed? And one political party will say that when I come, I'm going to free those people. Do we fight Galamsey, this menacing problem, with this attitude?
But you see, we can't also fight Galamsey. I'll answer your question, but we can't fight Galamsey, okay? When a president sets up a committee and the secretary to the committee was caught live on tape, visual evidence, taking money, and that president comes to say, my appointee did nothing wrong. How can we fight Galamsey with that? But you see, with what President Mahama said, clearly, I agree with him. Why? We were in this country when Aisha Wan was arrested by Nana Danko Akufo-Addo and his forces. What happened? The senior minister told us that they released that because they needed money. And so clearly everything about Nanado and his appointees and whatever is about money. They released them back to her country because they said arresting Aisha Wan was going to stampede the flow of money into the country.
Isn't it the case that politicization of this issue is the reason why we are unable to fight Galamsey to the latter? Where a situation where a political party will say that when I come, this is what I have for you. If they think that they are comfortable with the offer, they, vote against a certain political party that was in power. Are we not losing the fight because of some of these attitudes, the lofty promises that are made to some of these Galamseyers, just like the NDC did in the run-up to the 2020 elections? Let's be wrapping up.
Before 2016, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo went to Galamsey sites and said categorically that almost say meba mecha Galamsey mo. People are saying that if I come, I'll cancel Galamsey. I will never cancel Galamsey. Galamsey was with us and will continue to be with us. These were the words of Nana Addo before becoming president. Then you have another flag bearer telling them that, look, acts of Galamsey are not right. When I come, we will train you people and give you licenses to conduct Galamsey. How does that result to politicization of it? Secondly, the release of Aisha 1 and subsequent taking money from the Chinese government has nothing to do with politicization, and all political parties are the same. It's a bad attitude, and an attitude and posture of the MPP for their dying love of money. And so they think that whoever they arrest, they should really look. I tell you that some of the Galamseyers they jailed, okay? If these Galamseyers had family members who could give them the government loans, they would have released them. And that is why President Mahama said, look, the way in manner these people were arrested and treated was not right with us. Because we had government appointees who were engaging in Galamsey and yet were not arrested. They were left off the hook. Today, the National Women Organizer of the NPP is speaking. Kejemfua, she wept this evening. I think the video has gone viral. Because 12 of her excavators were burned down. What was her crime? Because she said the roads minister is constructing roads only in Nana Addo's hometown and leaving the rest of the country. They thought that she had spoken against them and they needed to silence her. So they bent down 12 of her excavators. That which she claimed were not even on site. And so with a lady like this, though I should have been bastardizing her because she's an MPP woman organizer, I sympathize with her.
Let's get going.
And I sympathize with her because there are other people who committed higher degrees of crimes, so far as Galamsey was concerned, under Akufo-Addo's government, and at his, within his presidency. Yet he left them off the hook. The General Secretary of the MPP consistently has been accused. His driver was caught in land pits. And all these people have been, look, they've been bathed and soiled with Galamsey. We heard them on tape saying clearly that party they needed money to give Nana Addo. And that was why they were engaging in Galamsey. And they were left off the hook. And so John Mahama said this, President Mahama said this because people were wrongly judged and people have been unfairly treated. And he's saying that
the MPP in power, of course, you know, in the earlier attempt, stopped it, and we are told that they took some of these people to, I mean, the University of Mines, Takwa or something like that, to make sure that some of these persons were trained, look, giving concessions, proper concessions to be able
before they came back to their sites.
So
before they came back to
it was the same thing they talked about.
Yes, I'm saying before they came back to their
let's get going.
Before they came back to their concessions, people like Jojo Frempo, people like Pati Hiasika, and Kowusi and Co were on their concessions mining. And so, look, clearly, I think that it's wrong, and we must eschew it from our politicking. Before these small-scale miners could even assume their concessions that they had left to go and do these trainings, MPP bigwigs were there mining gold. And that is why this time they've refused to go on the hook. Just to conclude, I heard my colleague communicators in the Ashanti region are on strike. You know, it is difficult now to be a communicator in MPP. Why? Because you would have to always clean the mess of your party. A party that boasts of constructing speed ramps, donating poly tanks as achievements. You as a communicator have to go and sit and always defend. Yet the big man will share the money and leave you. Why wouldn't you go on strike? And so you see, if Ashanti regional communicators will go on strike, then my colleague Northern Regional MPP communicator in Savannah region, I don't know what they are still sitting there doing. They need to put their tools down and allow Nana Addo and his ministers to go out there and defend their own mess. You have not constructed roads. You have not constructed hospitals. You have not constructed markets. You have not constructed airports. The dollar is rising. Even your communicators cannot buy fuel to go to radio stations. Why wouldn't they be on strike? And so I sympathize with my colleague MPP communicators in the Ashanti region.
Malik, thank you so much
for coming. They need to stand up and face their elders and leaders and also start benefiting from the government.
Thank you so much for coming, Malik. I'm so grateful for your time. This is all time allows on the program. Make the time with us same time next week. My name is just Appiah, and the show has been hot news. Let me say a very big thank you to my cameraman Foster, to my director Alberta Addo, popularly known here at Pan African Television as Sewa, also to TT and Sir Chess, my soundman, my producers Latifa, and everyone who has been part of today's production. Thank you all so much. I'm so grateful. Unfortunately, I'm unable to read your messages. Kindly forgive me. Next week, I'll make time and read every single message you've sent. Goodbye.